Hello, it's Sherry Veronica from Naked Departure Radio, and I was just talking to someone who spoke to me about other worldly stuff, and she was talking about demons. And 5, 6 years ago, I would not entertain a conversation about demons because I didn't really understand. I knew the word and I knew the implications. I knew all the, whatever went along with the saying, oh, someone is a demon or demonic. We know these things. They're things that horror movies are made of. But before that time in my life, 6 years ago, I never experienced anything demonic. I never had a reason to have it as part of my diction. It's a word I never used. But moving to Barbados and hearing that word constantly used and living among the people there and seeing how, I don't know, I guess the word would be demonic they are. Everything they did was to destroy you. They planned for you. They were methodical. Now I can sit and have a conversation about demons because maybe they do exist. Maybe they do when there are wars. Are they demons that possess human beings that go and fight a war? Because you just cannot imagine that a human being would do that. How can a human being leave their shores, leave where they live, go to another shore, another place where other people live, another country, and shoot it up, bomb it, kill women and children? How do they do it if they're human? And I never really thought about it before until I was traveling and I landed in Barbados and I got a chance to actually notice things. How people say one thing, but they only mean you evil. That's all they want to take everything from you. They want to strip you. They want to leave you naked. Naked. Now I can, because I've always wondered, how did the world wars start? What kind of people did they have that cannot think, well, no, we really don't want to do this? And then on 9/11, when the towers came down, you knew, if you had half a mind, you knew there was going to be a war. You just cannot imagine that you will live through something like that. The world wars were history. No one, well, I wasn't alive then, but you know of it. But 9/11 is something I'm still living through. And a lot of vets, a lot of the soldiers come back to the mainland and they take their own lives. They commit suicide. How do they not know that wars are started with lies, that there's never really a good reason to go to war? Are their bodies taken over by demons? And this conversation I had with this lady today, she didn't say this, but pulling together other things, because I do live and I do listen to other people speak about everything. I try to be out there. So when she was talking to me just a few minutes ago before I came on radio, And she was talking about demons, and she was even saying that her body sometimes feels as though she gets possessed and she leaves the earth, and all her different experiences. It shows us that there to I was scoff at it, but I was probably immature. I guess I was. But I don't think we can scoff at anything anymore. There are things that are happening in this world that we do not know about, that we cannot understand. We are part of something that we really do not understand. And what opened me up to my way of thinking at this point was living in Barbados and dealing with the natives there. There was no one that I dealt with that didn't try to destroy me. I was afraid constantly in Barbados. And I would say to people, I'm afraid. I'm afraid all the time. And no one understood. And I didn't understand. And I'm sure that if I were to look outside my body and hear myself saying that, I would look quite mad. But I was afraid. And I said it. I'm afraid. Something's coming my way. Something is coming my way. And I'm afraid. But I don't know why I'm afraid. But I was scared out of my mind when I lived in Barbados. For good reason. For good reason. And I've traveled throughout the United States after leaving Barbados and coming back to my mainland. I've traveled throughout the United States. Throughout. And sometimes I get to a spot late. I may have gone on the train late, or there are delays all the time in travel. And I can get to where I'm going and it's dark, it's late. But I was never petrified. Yes, your senses are up because you do know it's late. You have to catch a cab, you don't know, I'm alone, I'm traveling alone. And you do have to be cautious, but I wasn't paralyzed with fear the way I was when I lived in Barbados. I had a companion when I traveled in Europe, so I wasn't afraid then, but you still had to be careful. But, it's a strange land. You go to these strange places and you just navigate. And you just pop into some place, get something to eat, pop out, make sure you get your bearings, going left, right, but you're not petrified with fear. So, like when I think sometimes you encounter certain situations and certain things come up, maybe so you can talk about certain things, have a discussion about certain things, because people do not like to talk. People do not like to talk. People do not like to discuss things. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss things that may not be easy for people to admit and to say, but I think I should discuss things, and from a honest perspective, from an open, just open up the gates and let it flow out. I used to have a written diary, but I think I've switched now from having it under my pillow. Now I have it online. And I think that's what I want to do. Just, and instead of me, and another thing, when this lady was talking to me, although I know that these things do exist or can exist, there was a part of my mind that was shutting down. I found myself shutting down, and that shutting down mechanism is a part of judgment, and you have to watch that. Like I always say, I try to say, watch yourself and watch what you're thinking and how you're behaving. I had to stop myself from closing down, and I kind of looked her straight in the face, and I tried to open up myself to listening to her, not responding, listening to her. And she is telling me demons do exist on the earth. I've met two-footed demons, just one or two, I think one, in Barbados. want a demon. A demon. I would call that person a demon. But I've never had the opportunity to meet other demons, and I don't think I will ever want to have that opportunity, because once you have met one, that opens you up to not wanting to meet another demon. You do not want to meet another demon. When you come face to face with a demon, you've had that experience. You don't need another one. But I came on the radio to say that I wonder if, because she made me think, I wonder if Barbados, because it was the center of slavery, turning a human being into a slave, I am sure that there was medical apartheid, something that will never be written into history. You cannot trust history, because they cannot put everything in history. It is too horrible. It is too embarrassing. It will show a sense of it will show that something else may exist here other than what we imagine it is. You cannot populate history with truths. It cannot happen. You cannot put certain things into a history book, because people will catch a clue. And you don't, for this to continue, it has to be lies. You have to fill people's minds with lies, and the earlier you get them, the better. So, is Barbados a demonic island because of what happened there in the past? Are there spirits there that occupy the human flesh and influence people to do things that they would not normally do? I did things I would not normally do. I did in Barbados. I imagined things that I wouldn't usually think about when I was living in Barbados. And I wonder about that, because I've always thought of myself as pretty sturdy, very strong. But Barbados broke me. There was something there that I never imagined could exist. I never understood such wickedness. I never understood that anything could be that dark. And maybe we need to talk about it. It's something that we need to talk about. Experiences, and where else have you felt it? No, nowhere else. And will I ever go back to being raped like that? Because I consider that being raped. No, you don't want to be raped like that. You don't want to have your stomach sink, your heart swell like that in fear. It was a fear. I remember saying it to my sister. I remember telling her, I'm afraid. I'm afraid all the time. I'm just afraid. I have this feeling. I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm afraid. And if you were to ask me, well, what are you afraid of? Well, I don't know. Why do you have this trepidation? Well, I don't know. I just felt fearful in Barbados. Fearful. I didn't know where it was going to manifest and how, but it did. Now I understand. I had the feelings when I was a child. I knew better. I knew that I should not have gone back there for any particular reason and overstay my welcome. These are things I knew, and I did, and now I know better. But it's good to talk about these things, fears. If you feel like you're in a cage, if you're feeling as though something's tampering with your mind, these are things that we need to explore. And in having the conversation with a very, very good friend of mine, I was able to remember certain things. I'm not remember in a bad way, just remember it as an experience I had. This is an experience I had, and I've written about it. I've written it down in many places, but it's history that normally people will not write down. People shove that kind of stuff under the rug. But it's time that we talk about things, and I look forward to the time in life when we have our telepathic powers back, where we don't have to speak, where we can just meet someone, or even without meeting them, if they're coming our way, we can detect them and know if they're good, bad, indifferent, if we what we should do. We should all be blessed with telepathy. That's something else, because like I said before, we need to renegotiate coming in here. We cannot come in here as blind as we do, and as naked as we do, and as forgetful as we do. No, and it needs to be renegotiated. Bringing in life forms into Earth need to be renegotiated. Don't come here. I'm putting the warning out. Do not come to Earth if your telepathic powers are disconnected. Do not come here. That's the least you can do, is make sure that you are able to smell a demon a mile away. This is Sherry Veronica, Naked Departure Radio.